Hello, everyone. I'm Nina Cooke, and welcome to the Entrepreneurs in a Game podcast. I have a fantastic guest to share with you today. Her name is Schlonski, and she is the queen of the sales success mindset, and a topic I know is really dear to your hearts. She's a multi-talented leader in the field of sales success, mindset, motivation, and strategies. She works with heart-centered entrepreneurs who love what they do, but they dislike selling. She shows you how to make sales with ease, grace, confidence, and ask your price. Christine's experience includes over 12 years in successful selling and closing high-ticket live events in the corporate world as a high producer and sales director, making millions in revenue for herself and through the successful sales team that she's built throughout her career. Christine, a very warm welcome to the Entrepreneurs in a Game podcast. It's so wonderful to have you on my show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nina. I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to support your audience and, wondering what kind of questions you're going to ask as a mindset pro.
Yeah.
So, it's very excited.
It is exciting because sales is such a big topic. And this is an area which is so important, isn't it, for every single coach, expert, consultant out there? Because if we're not selling our services, then we're not making sales.
Yes.
And it seems to be a very, very a challenging area for so many of us. And I'd love to really dig deep with you to find out what you've discovered about mindset and how to make more sales. So first of all, how have you come to be doing what you're doing now? How did you start in sales?
Well, really early on, I wanted to move to Berlin, Germany, which is like Germany's big apple in my point of view. And so I thought, I'm just going to apply for an international company. And I learned from my, let's say, beginner mistakes and trying to make a career. And I applied to a company that did not really have a job opening at that time. So my CV got passed on from the CEO that I dared to reach out to the sales director. And one day I got this call, this guy describing this amazing job opportunity, and everything sounded great, but it was a sales position, and I was so not willing nor ready to work in sales, because sales for me felt kind of icky and sleazy and very transactional. But I wanted to move to Berlin so bad and make my dream come true and living in that city. And I wanted to work for that company. And he was a very good salesperson. He said, Christine, you know what? You can learn this. It's a tool. You can learn how it works, and we will teach you everything you need to know. So I said yes at the end, and I started to learn about sales, and I felt really weird. Like when I picked up the phone, my hand shook and my heart rate was really, really fast, and I was like nervous, trying obviously not to have the other person feel that. But it never really felt good, even though when I learned like the strategies and the tactics, still I was still feeling like I'm missing a piece. And over the years, I got really, really good at it. But over the years, I was not fulfilled. I felt that there was more, that I was missing something. So, by accident, I came to the world of personal development, where I then decided to become a coach myself. And only when I brought together the coaching world with the sales world, things just clicked. And I doubled and tripled my revenues. Obviously, that was even more fun. And I really started to own who I was as a person. I started to be okay, with a no's, with a rejection. And I didn't try to find strategies. I just tried to find the people who were in alignment. So basically, that moment when I, brought together my head and my heart, life became easier and sales started to be fun. And then I experimented, and that kind of got me on the way till I hit the next wall, so to speak, the next point where I thought, that can't be it. I don't have the freedom I'm looking for. I don't have enough days for traveling, for, attending seminars all over the globe. And I got really frustrated. And that's when I had like the next wake up call where I thought, well, if I do it on my own, I can really choose who I want to work with. And I can really make an impact to support, especially women who are more afraid of asking for what they want, especially when it comes to money and when it comes to pricing their services and really making an offer. So yeah, long story short, that is what got me where I am today. And I'm so super excited that, I took that leap of faith and I trusted. And obviously I had support with coaches and mastermind groups and things. So I'm just today a happy camper.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how we met, through a mastermind.
Yes.
You said some amazing things already. You said that you found people in alignment and you brought together your heart and your head.
Yes.
And I think this is one of the secrets of having not just a successful business, but successful that you really, really enjoy and love. So what do you mean, and how did you bring together your heart and your head in order to enjoy more success in sales?
Yeah. So at the beginning, I would say, my head told me the things that I was taught are true. Like, be a good kid, get good grades, study, get the good job, and then just, work until you retire or something like this. And my brain told me that's the way to go because that is what I was seeing. And it never was really aligned because one of my biggest values is freedom, and obviously being tied to a desk day in, day out, and totally being limited on my own decision making does not fulfill this value and need. And that it's different for everybody. Some people are amazing. They love their desk. They love working the clock or on the clock. That's totally fine. But for me, it felt off. So once I gave myself permission to kind of listen deeper, to really understand what I wanted. At the beginning, I didn't even know what I wanted. I just knew what I did not want. But, from knowing what you not want, that might be a good start. But from knowing what you want, the gap is huge. So I really worked on, getting clear of what are my true desires and not feeling bad for them, right? When you discover that, freedom, like putting yourself first, other people might perceive that as super selfish. But, if I keep giving and working, one day I'm going to be burned out, then I have nothing to give. So it's important to have a good self-care routine to make clear that I get what I need, what my body needs, what my brain needs, what makes my heart sing. It's just something, it's very personal, and everybody has different desires. But, stepping up and saying, well, this is truly what I desire, and I'm just going to go for it. If you like it or not, sorry, it's, sorry, not sorry. I need to do this. Yeah. Because that's when we grow. And it's really wonderful once you get into the habit of getting clear, taking action, and then actually living that dream, you will be unstoppable. And that doesn't mean you can't serve other people. Like, this is included in my equation, because that's basically what I am about. But I can only do it when I have this wonderful self-care routine and when I'm totally happy with what I can do in this wonderful world.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds amazing. And you said that when you learned, when you first went to sales, you learned the strategy, you learned all the tactics, you probably learned how to do a sales conversation. But it's only when you brought the personal development world and the sales world together that you doubled, tripled your results. What were your learnings about
wonderful question
into sales?
Yeah. So I think the biggest the biggest thing was giving myself permission to be okay with who I was, no matter if the other person liked it or not. And if they didn't like it, to be okay that they did not buy what I had to offer. Because it made me or helped me to show up even more confident. And not just this confident kind of, that's what we kind of often see in sales, like, oh, let's, fake it. Like, yeah, I'm the big guy and I can do all of this. But just, being okay with who I was and having a fun conversation and really trying to understand what the client needed. And then when my offer was a fit, trusting that they would buy because that's what they needed. And if it wasn't a fit, or if they were not aligned with me as a person, then that's totally okay too, even though if that means that the company is not going to make money from that client because I did not push really, really hard for it.
This is really interesting, isn't it? Because when you feel okay with yourself, it's just that you give yourself permission to be okay whether you get the sale or not. That puts you in a completely different state.
Oh, yes.
A state of thinking when you go into the call and during the call, instead of worrying about, does the prospect like me? Are they going to buy from me? Because when you're doing that, then your focus is on the other person and worrying about what they're thinking about you. And the focus isn't on giving your very best value in the conversation. So it's really all about where your focus is during that sales conversation, isn't it?
Totally. And you see that like with people who are more like the surfacey people. They listen, but at the same time, they are busy in crafting their answer to what they believe they are hearing. And, by being okay with who you are, you can just open up that space and really listen. And then asking questions if you are not sure that you understood it correctly, or you just assume that, asking a verifying question and making sure you did understand the way you think is correct, gives you different opportunities before you craft your answer or before you craft your next question to make the client buy. It totally changes how you approach a conversation, how you approach a relationship. And, by wanting to have these deeper relationships, it really made that difference because the client could feel that basically I am coming from that place where I say, well, sales is love. I got to love my clients first, and then they will become really good clients over a long period of time.
Brilliant. And how do you get to that stage where you are okay with yourself?
That's a difficult one.
It's a big question, isn't it? How long have you got?
And it does require some work. So, the work of Louise Hay made a big difference for me. I read the book Heal Yourself.
Yes, that was the first
Heal Your Life. Is it?
I ever bought. Yeah.
And so she talks about mirror work, and so I read that and I was like, oh, so how do you do this, right? You look into the mirror and it's not just to put on makeup, but you really have that conversation. And it feels really strange at the beginning, like opening up to being true with yourself, like being honest, like what you like, what you dislike, who's the person looking back at you. So I did that for a while, and then I read every book, one step leads to the next, to the next, to the next. And it really helped me just starting off to be okay, to stop judging, to just, accepting. And then you start feeling kind of inner peace. And I was able to stop to compare myself all the time. And especially in the corporate world, when you are in sales, it's pretty competitive, right? You have those sales boards, and then everybody wants to be the number one on the board. So I was just okay with where I was, and I focused more on having these meaningful conversations and these meaningful relationships than just the quick sale, which when you are intelligent enough and you know objection handling, you can go there. That's no question. But by slowing down, I was able to make more impact. I was able to have, clients that booked bigger packages, or they booked more than just one thing I offered, and things like this. So at the end of the day, by slowing down, I also gave myself the opportunity to speed up.
Yeah, that's such a valuable thing that you've shared there. By slowing down, you can have a bigger impact, because we tend to rush. And
oh, totally. And I'm pretty impatient. You might not see that, but I would love to have things done yesterday.
And it's interesting, because when we're having a sales conversation, often we're being trained in a sales script. So we might have the sales script next to us or up on our screen. And we're busy looking at the sales script, and then we're not listening properly. We're thinking about what's the next question I need to ask. And we're rushing through it because we're getting to that point in the conversation where they're going to say, well, how much is it? And that's the part we can absolutely dread. They're going to ask me my price. They're going to think it's too expensive. They're going to say, no, I'm not going to make the sale. I'll have to start again with someone else. What is the secret to feeling confident about asking for your price?
Well, so first, I just want to make a quick remark. Depending on who is listening in or watching, it kind of depends on your product. So I'm just going to assume that you are more in the service-based world.
Yes, in the coaching.
Sometimes you do need some kind of pitch to just set it up right, to not miss out on information that needs to go to the other person before you can start into that meaningful conversation. I think the most important thing is that you just come from the place of love, even though that might sound a bit strange right now. But if you're ready to be open, I call them to soul-made clients, right? Especially for one-on-one or my small group coachings. I don't want somebody in there that I'm not happy to see, if that makes sense. Right? First of all, I always want to know, will they get the best of me? And they can only get the best of me when I'm totally excited working with them and when I know I can deliver. So a soulmate client usually are those that work one-on-one with me or in the small groups. And we have a deep conversation before we even start. So I know exactly where they are, where they want to go, what their pain is, what they have tried to do to solve it, but not yet achieved it. So from that kind of space, I'm also picking up on the energy, which they do themselves, but they might not know it because they always buy your energy first before they buy your coaching package or whatever you have to offer. And when I feel that this is the person, because you kind of feel it, then I'm ready to move forward and even make an offer. If I don't feel it, or if I feel like I'm just not the right person because they are requesting something that I'm not as good as somebody else I know, I just refer them or give them another resource or something that they can start with so that they can, have some solution, but it might not be me as the person taking them through the 6 months process or 3 months process or group coaching or whatever it is.
I see. And what is feeling the authentic rapport with someone that you want to work with, and then you come to the point of saying your price? How can you build up that value within yourself, in your own mind, so you absolutely know without any doubt that the price you're asking is, you are worth every cent of that price, every penny?
Yeah. So what and especially women have this challenge because we are taught to be nice, we are taught to give, but we are not really taught how to receive and how to ask. So what I always take my clients through is that they really journal on everything they've done to get to the place where they are. Like how many hours, let's just go with an example of a coach. How many hours have you invested to become a coach? what programs or courses have you taken to become a coach, right? And then you just list the time, you list the money you've invested. Maybe you did a high-level mastermind. Maybe you spent like 10,000 or more.
More.
I know I probably
I think we
spent
all
like
have
around 100,000 already. But you just kind of think like, okay, what have I put in so that somebody else kind of gets the shortcut? Because obviously we take something in, we learn something, and then we mix it with the experience we have, which makes us so unique, right? For me, for example, I know I've invested over a decade in high ticket sales over the phone. Well, I was paid for it, right? It was my job, but I also invested the time. I invested the pain. I invested hearing no so often. I invested like making approximately 80,000 cold calls. Like how many people have picked up the phone 100 times or 1,000 times, but 80,000, right? And that's just the kind of average numbers over the time. So that's something that I have invested, and everybody can look at themselves like, what have you invested that brings value to the table that you might not see because it says something you have done, right? It's just something you know how to do. Like maybe you've coached already all your friends and all of your family, or you always help, you already helped in school, like all of your classmates. Like where have you invested the time? What makes you special? Is that combination in time and money investment? Like what were your learnings? Where maybe did you kind of fall and you got back up? So many people don't get back up, but you did. So all of these things are coming together, and then maybe you have something like a product that you are using. If you're a photographer, you have, all the equipment, or if you build home pages, you have, software and the PC and stuff like this. Like look at all the investments you have done in your life to be able to now support others. And I'm quite sure that for every single person, the number it adds up to is quite impressive. Not everybody has done like the 25,000 mastermind or, like a huge thing or a 5K retreat. That's totally fine. Even if you spend smaller amounts, right? Maybe you bought hundreds of books for self-development. Like all these numbers add up. And your experience and time investment. And if you put that together, plus you're getting results for clients, that will give you the confidence to basically ask for any kind of price, right? Because you have invested that in yourself. And I'm a big believer of you need to be the client you need to attract. So if you are somebody who has like only spend $99 or $97 on an online course and you've never gone further, it might be quite difficult for you, even though you deliver value for 2,000 or 5,000, but it might be difficult for you to ask that price because you have not invested yourself, right? So it's a mix out of these components of what you have invested and also what you have invested in one lump sum. I've been there certainly several times where, my heart, I knew it was right, but just seeing the dollar amount, I wanted to throw up. So I also know then how people feel when they want to step up and do something for them, if it's a higher amount involved. So I think it's like this confident mix. And then when you do it the first time, your heart rate might beat a little bit more. But once you got the first client at the rate you really truly desire, and the client is super happy and they give you a testimonial and they're just so excited that you help them thrive, the next one is going to be so much easier, and the next one is even easier. And then all of a sudden, you might even feel that your price is not high enough. because everybody is super happy and you lead them through a wonderful process. And then you just have to see like how many clients you got, how much time you have. And maybe then it's time to step up and higher your rates.
You've given us such a brilliant answer here, Christine, because I've heard people say, when I've read that, your values, how much you've invested in yourself, but you've explained in such a lovely, clear way to really add up everything you invest in yourself. And this can be a painful exercise because you think, well, I've wasted so much money because so much of that investment I made in myself, I didn't get any return on it. But there are definitely learnings along the way, and it's the amount of time you've invested in yourself, the amount of money you've invested in yourself, and that shows that you have trained hard and you have the skill set to help other people, and also to look at the results you got from clients, look at the testimonials, see how you transformed people's lives, because it's so easy for our negative thinking to take control. And as you're going to have that sales conversation, you're getting ready for it, and your voice in your head is saying, no one's going to pay you that much. They're not going to say yes to working with you. They're going to give you a no. How do you personally deal with no's? Because there are no's along the way, because the no's lead us to the yeses. We know that. But how do you deal with no's?
Totally. So one little remark I'm just going to make real quick is that once you invested at a level that you are asking and you know how it feels, it becomes so much easier asking for it, because in your mind, it always goes like, well, I have invested that. So surely there are people out there that take that amount of money and invest it because I'm the best example. I've done it. So obviously a no never really feels good. And what's really important, that if you get a maybe, don't make it a maybe, make it a yes or make it a no. Don't finish a conversation where you have like, maybe, let me think about it, because that sucks your energy. That really drains you over time, especially if it's not one, if there are several, let me think about it kind of scenarios. And sometimes, people need to discuss with their husband or spouse, like that happens. So if it's a no, I always ask why it is a no, because I want to learn. Maybe I've overlooked something. Maybe they, I did not give an information they really needed. And maybe there's just no way for them to invest in this level. And that gives me the opportunity to know why, if it's the dollar amount, or maybe I have something else they could start with so they can see results, and then they have the money to invest at the higher level. So when you get the no, always ask why, but don't do it in the energy like, okay, so why? Why are you not booking, right? You just want to be like totally okay with a no, right? So that's the difference. I'm always attached to the goal. My goal is to support that person 100%, but I'm not attached to the outcome, which is it's either a yes or a no, right? So that makes a big difference. My goal, my mission is pretty clear, and I'm not going to let go of that. I really want to support them. So if one way doesn't work, I'm happy to look for another way, right? That could be a payment plan if, it feels aligned for me, that I want to make that offer. It could be another resource that I have. Or, maybe when I'm not the right person, then definitely I send them somewhere else. But maybe there's like a step they can take in between where I can help them, and it's doable. But for that, I need to have a conversation. So when you get that no, don't take it personal. It has nothing to do with you. Nothing. And if they feel like you're not the right person, well, great. You saved yourself a lot of trouble and worries, because every time somebody shows up as an appointment in your calendar, it's not going to be fun anyway. So open up that space for somebody who is amazing and fun, and you get to support, and you get a wonderful testimonial from.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm more, even though it doesn't feel good, I'm really kind of neutral to the no, because I want to find out why it is a no. And that gives you a lot of insights. Maybe you overlook something and you can fix it right on the spot. Or, if it's just not possible for them to find the money, which I'm also a believer, like if you want something really, really bad, you do find the money. Maybe they're just not ready yet. Yeah. So you support them and you let them go, and be open for them to return at a later time, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the way you say you're attached to the goal of supporting that person 100%, not to the yes or the no. And that they will pick that up, won't they? They'll pick up that energy from you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think, like you feel into the client, they feel into you. If they are not coaches, or they might not be, that tuned in yet, with their subconscious, they feel it. Yeah. So they know exactly that you are the right person, or they know you are not. And then both scenarios are fine. I mean, we're enough people on the planet. So if you're not attached to the outcome, but totally committed and attached to the goal, it makes a huge difference.
It does. And if that person says no to you, there are plenty of other people you're going to have conversations with as well. So it's not a be all and end all ever.
Yeah.
So how can our viewers and our listeners find out more about you and your amazing work?
Well, they just can hop on over to christineschlonski.com, and there's a little intro. There is a link to my podcast. I have a wonderful Facebook group called Heart Cells, where I give support. And I really want to start, well, I have already started it, but I want to grow the movement of heart sellers, so that we know when we come from here, the world is just a better place.
Absolutely. You couldn't put it better. So thank you so much for being here. It's a shame we've come to the end of our time, because there's so much more I wanted to ask you, but perhaps you can come back another time and we can delve even deeper into the mindset of sales. And for everyone who's been here with us, thank you so much for joining us today. Till next time, bye-bye for now.
Thank you.